Hey there, great to see you here. You're welcome to Explore Insights. In this video, I'd like to give a case study of using an XYZ school information management system. But before we proceed, I'd like to quickly give a review about the data flow diagram before we look at this case study. Now, talking about data flow diagram, it's important for you to note that data flow diagram is a graphic representation of how data moves from a system or process. Now, also, it's important to note that data flow diagram is very crucial for visualizing the flow of information within a system, which clarifies the system requirements and streaming processes. Now, also, it helps to identify redundancies and inefficiency, enabling better decision-making and communication among stakeholders, thus facilitating more effective and efficient system design and analysis. Now, in this video, I also want to emphasize on the different data flow diagram notations we have, which you can see all here. Pair and sensing, SSADM, URDAM, the macro, URDAM, and cloud. However, in this video, we'll be emphasizing more on the gain and sensing, especially using the STARUML. Now, let's proceed to talk about the data flow components. So basically, we have 4 components. The first one is the external entity. Now, what is this external entity? Now, external entity represents sources or destination of data outside the system. And also, it is important for you to note that these entities are key to identify how users or external systems interact with the information system. And lastly, it is important for you to note that every external entity must be labeled as a noun. For example, in this picture, we have customer. Now, let's move to the next component, which is process. Now, you can see all over here, it is important to label your process, especially the title of that process name and also the reference number. So in this place, we have 1.0 other details. Now, what is process all about? Now, process shows how data is transformed within the system. And also, it's important for you to note that processes are central to understanding the functional operation of the system, detailing how input data is converted into output. Next in our list, for the data flow component, one of it is also called the data store. Now, the data store, you can see in this picture that in every input, you should have an output. And also, let's emphasize more on the data store. So in this data store, it indicates a place where data is stored within the system. And also, data stores are essential for showing how and where the system retains data over a specific period of time. Now, it is crucial for analyzing data persistence and access patterns. Now, we'll talk about the last component, which is the data flow. Now, in this data flow, it is symbolized by an arrow. So it could be a forward arrow or a backward arrow. Now, I will explain when we use this specific arrows. Now, let's move on to talk about the data flow. Data flow represents the movement of data between entities, processes, and data store. And also, data flows are vital for tracing how data moves through the system, indicating the paths and the nature of data exchange. Now, I actually made this video in order to emphasize on another example which we want to consider in this video, which is case study using XYZ school information management system. Now, this tells us how the school was being operated in its manual form, and we want to transit into the digital process. Now, these are some of the highlights we'll be considering. So please follow me as I go through each of this using the STARUML. So if you have not installed the STARUML software, please do that. I've actually added it to this playlist for information system. So please make sure you watch my previous video on the installation of STARUML and come back right here to join this case study so you can grab more knowledge on the data flow diagram. Here, I will be emphasizing on level 1. And in my subsequent videos, I will talk about level 2, the use case, and the entity relationship diagram, using this the same use case. If you know you've not subscribed to this channel, please don't forget to like and to subscribe. Thank you for doing that. So let's go to the next phase of this video. Okay, so on the screen, you can see the case study which we'll be treating in this video and alongside the STARUML. So let's proceed first by opening the specified diagram. Here you click the model, you go to Add Diagram, and then you look around for data flow diagram, which you can see at the bottom. Then you click, and that takes you to the interface where you will be drawing using the data flow diagram. Now, by this side, you will be seeing the components, which include the entity, the process, the data flow, and the data store, which I've already explained how this component works. Now, take a few minutes to read this case study. Then you'll be able to pick out what necessary components do we need as we read through. Now, the first thing I need to consider is what will be the title of the process. Now, I'm going to pick out this process and draw it out. I'm going to call the name XYZ School Information Management System. XYZ School Information Management System. Okay, so done. So the next thing we want to identify is how many entities do we have? And first, if I read through, I'm going to find out the students, which is 1. I'm going to find out the faculty. You can also see the faculty around here. I'm also seeing the administrator. So let's take that a bit. The faculty staff, somehow you're going to see it as faculty, which we can see here. Okay, so that's the same. And also we have here administrator. So that is to tell us that we'll be considering 3 entities here. So let me draw that out of the STARUML. So this one, I'm going to call it students. And I'll draw the next one. I'll be calling that faculty. So just to lay an emphasis, I'm going to call that the teaching staff. Okay. So the last one will be the administrator. Okay, so we'll be able to lay out our entities. So the next thing we want to do is to consider the data flow. For you to easily comprehend the data flow for this case study, it's important for you to read through paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence, in any form you can understand that. So let's take it bit by bit. So I'm going to start here. Bit tells us about the transformation. So here we have acceptance and tuition fee payments. It says after accepting admission. So the question is, who accepts admission? It is actually the students from the system. So I'm going to create a data flow from the system to the students. And I'm going to call that admission notice. Now make sure your diagram is very neat. So you can see the way I'm putting my adjustments. So I've been able to make the adjustments, as you can see here. Now the next thing we want to go along to talk about, it says every student will be expected to make payment of their fees physically Now remember, we're trying to convert this into a digital system. So it means that there will be no longer physical appearance, but rather everything will be done online. So here, let's pick the note here. It says every student will be expected to make payment of their fees physically. Now, since we are creating an information system, it means that it will be done online. So there will be no need for physical presence. Now, the question we should ask ourselves is, which components is being associated with the statement? So first, if you're looking at around here, we have the student, and since we are eliminating the physical presence, it means we have to do it online. We talked about the XYZ school information management system. So we are going to create a data flow that will be linked from the students to the information system. Okay, so in this part, we're going to write fee payment. Remember, the fee payments we're talking about here is the acceptance and tuition fee payment. So I'm just shortening that to be fee payments. So we go to the next thing. In this part, it tells us that the administrator keeps the financial record. So it means that the system is going to provide the administrator the financial record. So it is important for us to note the data flow, especially where the head is going to position. So it means that the system will provide that to the administrator. So the arrowhead will be on the administrator. Okay, so here we are going to write financial records. Okay, so we move to the next thing. Here we have the manual enrollment and course selection. So let's read through what are the important details to pick out. Now, this part, it talks about the paper-based registration. So that tells us that students are going to do their registration on the system. Okay, so we have to apply a data flow from the students to the system once again. So here we're going to write registration. You're going to put it as student registration. So I'm just shortening that to be registration. So let's move to the next thing. So if you read towards this part, you see that there are lots of processes that will occur during registration. So we are going to elaborate on that during the data flow level one. Remember, the diagram we're trying to put on here is the data flow diagram level 0, which is also called the context diagram. So in level 1, we are going to expand this given information we have here. So let's move to the next thing. Now we have here that during the student course enrollment, so it means that at this part, the student wants to enroll for the course. So that means that we're going to create a data flow. Now, from the students to the information management system. Now, it's important for you to remember that our data flow diagram is now supposed to overlap. So make your adjustments so that this given information will be very clear and comprehensive. So we click here to put the label, which will be course enrollments. Okay, so it shows that we've done this given part. Okay, so in this part, we move over to the statement which says that all faculty staff are expected to update their courses information. So let's represent that in the data flow diagram. Okay, so it means at this point we'll be needing the faculty, which is this entity with the system. So let's put a communication link between the faculty and the information management system. And that tells us that all faculty staff are expected to update their course information. So I'm going to write that as updates courses information. I'm going to adjust that a bit. Good. So having done that, let's read further. It says, which is modified by the administrator. Okay. So I will not have so much colors, but I'll just play along with the colors so that you can see how I'm using each of the vital information here. So we have which is modified by the administrator. So that means that the course information will be modified by the administrator, but that will be done on the system. So it means that we have to get a data flow from the admin to the system, and that tells us that the course information will be modified. So I'm going to write that as modify courses information. Okay, so let's move over to the next thing. And here we have the students are given access to view it manually. But remember, we are changing that to the information system. So it means that they are going to view that online. So we will create a data flow diagram from the system to the students. Now, let me adjust that. So we are going to write view courses information. Okay, so let's move to the next thing. In this part, we have attendance report. Now it says during the class hour, the faculty takes attendance. So let's take note of that. Takes attendance. Okay, so let's create that data flow on the STARUML. So it means that the faculty, that means the teaching staff, will impute. Remember, it's W, so we have to just bring it down. Make few adjustments to the needs. Now we'll click here to bring out what we're going to use for the label. So here we have attendance. So you can create it, you can write it as attendance report, okay? So we have that done. And it says the students are given access to view the attendance status. So it means that the system will create an access for the students to view the attendance report. Okay, so we go over to say view attendance status or report. Anyone is okay. So I haven't done with this one. We move to the grade information. Now in the grade information, it says at the end of the semester, students submit their course assignments. Now, which components are we related with here? So it tells us that the components involved here will be the students and the information system. That means the process. So we are going to create the data flow between the student and the system. Take note, it is actually the students that submitted the course assignments to the system. So let's put the label, which will be course assignments. Okay, good. So the next thing we want to take notes here. We've done this. is the course assignment is provided to the faculty. It means when the students are done with the course assignment, the system will provide the course assignment to the faculty. So we'll create a data flow from the school to the faculty. Here we have in the label, course assignments will be provided. Okay. So let's take note of the next step. In this part, it says, and the faculty provides the grade record of the course in physical form. So this is going to be online. So we are going to convert that using our STARUML. So let's see what information we're going to get here. So with our data flow, it shows that the faculty will provide the grade to the system, probably after marking the course assignment. So here we have grade records. Good. So the next thing we want to look at is the next step here. It says the students are given access to view the academic grade reports. Okay, so let me highlight that quickly. The students are given access to view the academic grade report. So what does that mean to you? So it means that the components involved here will be the students and the information system. Now, what will be the flow? The flow is that the system is going to provide the students the academic grade reports. So don't panic when you have invalid connection. Just make sure you repeat it again, and that will be perfect. And make your adjustments as smooth as possible. Okay, so here we have the academic grade report. If you even write grade report, that's okay. So let's see the next thing. Now, over here, when you read it, you're going to see the institutional report and analysis, and it speaks more, telling us about the consolidation of the comprehensive report for the semester end, and it was necessary to gather report data from multiple departments or teaching staff, which is being compiled into a comprehensive report and analysis. And take a look here. Now, if you read here, it tells us how this flows. After getting the comprehensive report, it tells us that this comprehensive report and analysis is being sent to the college administrator and faculty. So let's see how we go about that. Now, in the data flow, it tells that this system will provide report and analysis to both the administrator and the faculty. So here we are going to write report and analysis. And remember, this was provided to the college administrator and faculty. So we're going to do that also to the faculty. So make the necessary adjustments and impute the labels. So last but not the least, I'm just going to put my reference number. So here I'm going to write 0.0. So when you read through the manual operational inefficiencies and going further to the digital advancement and the system benefits, you'll realize that we'll be able to come up with an efficient data flow diagram level 0, which is also called the context diagram. So I want to make this video very short, so I'm going to leave this for data flow diagram level 0. Please do well to join me in the next video, where I'll be talking about the data flow diagram level 1 using the same case study. See you right there. Do have a nice time. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share with a friend. Bye for now.